Z drops an item. She's trying to figure out how to drop an item. You guys have 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
it's just you and Abby.
It's alright.
Oh, I am? Oh, yeah.
She went on a trip.
Haha.
I couldn't touch it, so I
Saved her life.
Cute. Okay.
Hey,
So,
that wasn't nice.
okay.
Yes. Abby goes after Maya. That wasn't nice.
You're after Abby, I'm after you.
You weren't nice.
So, Abby goes, then I go.
You're not nice.
Okay, so Maya, switch them. No?
Why?
It's my shot.
No, it's her shot. Wait. No, she's after it.
Not being
Sorry, Abby. Me and Danielle get the red ball.
Have you played it before? You have? And you don't like it?
That was
You don't let it
awful.
kill me. Me too.
That was
Oh my god.
And
That right there is how I feel.
Maya always beats me. And
I have
I'm
0% still.
so mad.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Six. Now I have 6.
I love my sister. That's all that matters. Yes.
No.
Oh wow, I thought those were cupcakes.
All right, guys. This is it. Final
They're not cupcakes.
I got it. I got it.
They're cupcake transition from a cupcake face. My mom got this for me. I had no intent, but I didn't know she was getting it. She got it like a yard sale thing. This table's destroyed.
Yeah, I think those will.
because we invented our food, but it's not like Thanksgiving in the world. It's just the only Thanksgiving celebrated.
Oh yeah, they are. That one it's called Dead Ball because
Thanksgiving has been
it's so loose that it doesn't bounce anymore. It's supposed to kind of rubber. It's supposed to kind of be rubbery. This one is so worn that it just hits. And it's just like so if you move those, it bounces off.
Playing a game or let's just do sudden death. Right now. Go.
I'm being mean.
Okay, sudden death. Sudden death.
Daniel. Are we starting now?
As soon as this death occurs, and it's very soon.
Okay, let's go. Okay, who's first? So, me, Abby, and okay, yeah, just me, Abby, Anna.
Like what?
So I'm after Ayla.
I'm after
I'm after Danielle.
So you were mutually.
You're after Danielle. No, she's not playing.
So Mark has reached
You're after you.
and
Wait,
has
I'm after you.
at all times. Your only
I'm after
real
you.
advantage on her is that you have reached when she's moving. So you're supposed to sit there and
That was
wait
a very
till she counts
squeaky
it. Don't move, don't move.
Danielle!
Like she's coming back.
No, you don't got it, Danielle.
Otherwise, Martha's just a
My
better
turn.
player. You're not going to win as Mewtwo. It's never happening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time.
What?
Sudden death word guess.
Okay, I like this.
I'm gonna sit over here.
I like that they are color coordinated.
Ayla, think about
It's
that.
Jared.
Anna,
Do you know Jared?
sit here.
It's,
Whoa.
it's
I
Hannah's
didn't
younger
know
brother.
that.
Did you say time for a game?
You know Hannah?
I can read the future.
Our leader, Hannah?
Yeah.
Her younger brother, Jared.
Sudden death word guess Thanksgiving edition.
Thank you, Jared.
No.
That was very nice.
Wait.
Very
No.
She's
Say
not-
Sonia. The colors.
All right, guys. Today, we're going to play a game for candy that is individual based. So it's you versus everybody else.
Wait, what?
And if you win, we throw candy at you.
So you get all the
And
candy.
if you lose, I say sit down. And that's pretty much how it goes.
No, thank you.
I messed it up.
All right, you guys ready?
No.
Whoa, they're gonna
There we
throw
go.
the top. Are you gonna throw the Tupperwares at us too?
Okay, I'm ready.
That would hurt.
Yeah. Zainab, they do a really good job. Just
Wait, do we get all that candy?
Just throw the whole thing at them.
Do we get all that candy?
Yes.
They're gonna throw
All right,
some
guys.
Tupperwares at us.
Anybody here allergic to peanuts before we start?
Oh no.
Wait,
I'm
what
I
are
don't
we
like
what?
peanuts.
I don't want to throw any
How do you
peanut
do
candy
this?
at
I
anybody.
mean, I don't
You
even
like
like
Danielle,
Texas.
though.
Because
I'm
I-
Alright,
allergic
you guys
to
ready?
games. I've said that like 50
If
You guys-
I
you guys
don't
ever
like it
seen-
because it causes allergy.
I'm
You
allergic
guys?
to
Nope.
latex.
Yeah, I know.
Nope.
I know.
You're still talking.
What?
We're not playing because you're talking. Have you guys ever seen Wheel of Fortune?
Yes.
Okay, like
No.
they spin the wheel, they guess a letter, the letter comes up and it slowly spells out the word.
No.
So you ever sat at home and watched the show and you try and guess the words?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, one
We're
time.
not gonna play Wheel of
Well,
Fortune.
it wasn't at my house.
We're gonna play the game where you're sitting at home watching the show go on, and you're trying to guess it before they guess it. So the show is gonna magically happen before you. Slowly, the words will fill in the blanks. Horrible guessing, terrible guessing. They don't even pick the vowels first.
I know the trick.
But you guys are gonna have to try and guess what the full set of words is before it comes up on screen in full. And if you get it correct, then you
kind
will
of
have
like
candy
Hangman?
chucked at you
Wait,
as
I
your
wanna-
reward.
Wait,
I
question.
wanna do
Yes,
When you get the candy chucked at you, do the other people next to you get to pick it up?
and hand it to you politely.
Wait,
Okay.
does it hurt when you throw?
Yes,
Yes, you
yes,
get pelted.
yes.
Do you have to spell out the
They-
word or just say
No, just say the word. So this is how it works, guys.
No.
So that we don't have a competition
Say no
for
headshots.
who can shout the answer the loudest. To say an answer, you must stand up.
Oh,
And if you stand up and you are not the first person to stand up, then you must wait for the first
So
person
it's
to
kind
stand
of
up.
like raising hands, but instead
It's
of raising
like
hands,
that,
you're raising
but I
your
want you
body.
guys to stand up. So you stand up. If you're the first person, I'll point at you. So if I'm pointing at you, you get to give me an answer. If I'm not pointing at you, you don't get to give an answer. Okay? Standing up is just your way of getting in line to give an answer. I will point at you when you get to give an answer. You give your answer. If it's wrong, I'll just point at somebody else. If it's right, we'll throw candy at you. Okay, here we go. You guys ready?
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
10 of these for you. 10 different things that are Thanksgiving related. That's a good word. Thanksgiving
There's only
related.
10 kids.
Turkey.
Perfect.
Seriously?
Hopefully
Go,
all of you
go.
get
Wait,
it.
there's 10?
Here we go.
There's
Number
only
1.
10 of us.
Only one per person.
Oh wait, no.
There
one
could
more.
only be 10.
Man, no.
Wait,
What?
What is
apples, apple pie. I was something.
it? If you stand up, I'm gonna point at you.
What? I think it's
It's
music.
like no words appearing.
What
It's
is
glitching.
happening?
You need to fix it.
Help!
It's oceanography.
Oceanography. Good guess, Matt, but you didn't stand up, so you don't get points
Oh,
for that. Yes.
Oceanography.
That's one word. No.
That's what I said.
I
What
need
did you say?
3 words.
I gotta
Atlantic
stand up.
obstacles.
Come on, guys. Figure it out, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, Ayla.
Catching football babies.
Hey, it's Ayla's turn. Hurry, Ayla.
I said, oh.
Watching.
Hey, I stand up next. I stand up
Watching
next.
football.
Time out. It's Ayla's turn. Ayla,
I just said.
please give us all 3 words, not a letter.
Oh, never mind.
I was the next.
Okay,
to
you are
watching
second.
football games.
That is correct. Chuck some candy in that hand.
That
A
you
little
missed.
more,
One
like
piece
a,
of
like a
candy
small
thrown at
handful.
you.
Oh, okay, I can do that.
There we go.
Right,
There we go.
off candy.
I want to
Hey,
get candy
guys.
thrown at me.
Next time, when you stand up, I'm just gonna black out the screen because that
guess what?
pauses
Guess
the
what?
video.
See this?
Because that was ridiculous. Also, don't give me letters.
Okay.
Give me all 3 words.
Hey, like, you're just like,
I'm so glad.
The correct answer was watching football.
Watching
I know.
got it.
We're all so mystified.
wait, that
Okay.
doesn't have to do anything with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does. You always watch football games.
No, I
Hey,
don't.
what
I
else
watch
is you?
football games.
Hey, guys, not everybody does their Thanksgiving the same way.
I
A
will do
lot of families have a football game
Football
going on in the
games are
background. Some families, that's like what everyone's doing.
I don't
Everybody's
ever
watching
watch football.
Some people never turn on the game ever.
I
And
don't.
It doesn't really matter because
Wait,
it
like
has nothing to do with the
soccer?
holiday.
Yeah.
It's just something
It's
that
just
happens
football.
alongside the
You're
holiday.
insane.
Okay,
I want
new
to-
game.
I thought like a
I
threat.
thought today was Sunday.
It's because it's Thursday
Today's
night.
Sunday.
I know, I know.
Someone said today's
Um,
Sunday.
Sit down. Can you calling me?
You didn't stand up.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you
I
did,
said
and then sat
flyers.
down.
Flyers.
Is C.
Oh, it's nicey.
Nice and nice.
Oh, Minneapolis.
This music is making me
Where did you
like
get this?
stressed just listening
How
to
did you
music.
do this? Like, I don't understand.
Opera singing.
Uniting our country.
Be sure you know the answer if you stand up because I'm gonna black it out this time.
Oh, I can turn it up.
What does that even say?
Okay,
Our?
what do you think it is?
You're uniting our country.
Uniting our
That's
country.
what I said.
I will check,
Are you
but
counting everything?
but no.
Counting our blessings.
Say it again.
Counting our blessings.
No, that is incorrect. Anybody
Yeah.
else?
No, just keep going.
Wait.
Okay, you
I
can
wanna
guess
get
again.
candy thrown at me. This is
Yes.
Uniting our blessings.
No.
Counting your blessings.
That's correct. Counting your
That's
blessings.
what I said.
You said united.
Oh, damn it.
way back there. I want that down.
Damn it.
Ah, there we go.
Where did you get this music? What's it called? Can you tell me?
It's called two-step.
It's called
What?
very
It for
stressful
real?
music.
I don't know,
Now
I made
plug
that
your
up.
ears and you're gonna be a
All right,
lot
guys, here we
better.
go. Round 3.
I need to.
I'm
Calling me.
okay. Why is this?
This is easy. I already know the answer. Thanksgiving
Good job, Matt. What is it?
has begun. With
others with A.
I know what it is. The first is things.
That's
Oh,
it.
oh,
Okay,
I know
what
what
is
it is.
Thanksgiving. The.
I
Oh,
know
H
that's
in
the
the
last
middle. No. There's an A.
it?
Not an A.
Thanksgiving
I don't think.
Day.
I don't know what the last
Day.
word is.
Day.
Okay, what is it?
Thanksgiving Day.
Happy meal.
All right.
Happy something. Or Thanksgiving.
Oh, thanks. I know.
Okay, Matt.
Wait, no. Thanksgiving Day parade.
That is correct. Well done.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, that actually hit me.
You're really throwing it to the candy. And
Matt, it's my toes. Quick.
He said a hand.
All right.
Where's
yeah, it's bigger than that.
You hand it to me.
That's Matt.
Did you drop it?
Guys, you have to give it to Matt.
That's I think that's Matt's technically.
Matt, there's like.
Matt's over there.
Matt?
Yeah, Matt, you lost some behind you.
Who's Matt?
All right,
No,
guys,
that
here we go.
That was in
Round
front of
4.
this.
There's a K in Snickers, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm already standing. Call me. Can you
Matt,
just
what is it? Matt, what is it, Matt? What is it, Matt?
You. Oh wait.
You are my sunshine.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Totally Thanksgiving related.
Something.
Oh. Wait, raining fall days or something. Wait, I don't know.
Say that one more time.
Raining fall days, but that makes no sense, doesn't it? Wait, that does. Wait.
None. No sense at all.
Racing Valley Icers. No, wait,
Oh,
I don't actually.
that was
no
close.
idea.
I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3.
I'm just standing up
Taking
and yelling.
family pictures.
That is correct.
What?
Throw it at me. I was
There we go.
That was a shot.
They all went under.
Maybe Zane's getting tired of the handfuls.
They all went under.
My hands are so big I can't grab it.
All right, guys, good job. All right, round.
Taking family.
I don't even know.
Yeah, round 5.
I already know.
Oh, what is
Wait,
it?
no, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Oh wait, I think
thought-
I actually do know.
What is it?
Thanksgiving.
I know. Thanksgiving dinner.
No.
It's
And
so
also, I didn't ask you, Matt.
Oh, okay.
That was my answer.
Yes.
Oh, Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, no, it is not.
Oh, I
All
know.
of them.
What? That would be
Matt.
great Thanksgiving.
You don't
dinner, 'cause
know.
it
I just
just
wanted
shows
Are
to
people
it.
standing?
Guys, you have to think of how many letters are in the word.
A B C D E 1 2.
Why would the third letter be an I? Think about it.
Iced cookies.
Illegal
for babies.
people.
Illegal people.
Illegal
That's a
people.
great guess. That totally matches the
Icing.
one.
Icing.
Hey, I think we're illegal people because we live next to
Dinner.
Something dinner.
I know. I'm.
If you want to guess, you just gotta stand up.
Friendsgiving dinner.
Yes!
Wait, what? What's
Yes!
That's
What
not real.
unit?
It is real. So,
That's
What
not
unit
real. You
comes
need a-
it's a very common
Yeah.
occurrence
No, it's
that a
not.
lot of friends either can't make it to their family's house for Thanksgiving or they were all busy on Thanksgiving with their families and they wanted to have a dinner as friends. So they'll sometimes have it on like Friday or Wednesday and they'll have a Friendsgiving dinner where all the friends together, not with family,
Oh,
but
we
just
had
with
it
each
on
other.
Tuesday.
Boom.
We
There you
had
go,
one and we're
Friendsgiving.
having another one soon.
And it was
I
a
love
we just go?
Friendsgivings. We did
It's
not
so
have one
nice.
this year. and we're a little bit sad.
I want to get
Okay.
candy thrown.
We
at
should
me.
have a special day for
I
Well
wanna get a
done.
Tupperware.
Kudos for knowing Friendsgiving. I don't think it's the same
I know.
one. Let's
I
see.
already know Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, this is Friendsgiving again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Never mind.
I want to guess it.
Round 6.
Weird
What?
person eating.
There's no I person.
Anna's really good at this.
Tired.
Just one twice. You can win.
Andy.
You can win.
Crying baby.
Crying baby.
Clicking,
2 words that are
clicking
not on this
brownies.
screen.
Black. Oh!
Black Friday.
Don't say things. Let him guess.
Is it? I was gonna say Black Friday.
Okay, she's second, and then Matt's third.
Wait, I'm just
Something gravy. All I know is one of them was gravy.
What?
I think
Oh my God.
Friday morning.
What is it?
Black Tuesday.
Black Tuesday,
No,
and
just Black Friday shopping.
that is correct. Oh my
I was
goodness.
thinking
Anna.
of Black Friday.
Anna is cleaning
That was
up.
like the whole thing.
Excuse me, can you throw the Tupperware at me?
All right, guys.
I just-
Round
There's so much
7.
back there.
This is easy, I already know. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Thanksgiving. That's the first word, Matt. First word,
Good
Thanksgiving.
job.
No, I think that's the whole word. Thanksgiving.
by being smart, she's
No,
cheated.
I'm not
No,
smart.
you told her all the answers.
That's not true. We're getting closer.
That's too much.
Family tradition is
How
irrelevant.
does that have anything
That has
to
nothing
Alright.
to do with Thanksgiving.
Yes, it does.
Get those weird relatives
Yes, it
that you
does.
don't know about.
All right, guys, round 8.
What does that even say?
It's a lot of blanks now. It's a lot of blanks.
Thanks are giving you, or wait,
You.
Scissors,
Something you
scissors.
is.
disgusting us
Explain
as scissors. Wait,
You
Thanksgiving.
Disgusting, this, wait, that's a movie.
But.
Wait, rose
What?
school. Wait, what?
Come on, guys.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Nothing's
Okay,
cool.
I
okay,
know.
whoa, whoa,
Pick
whoa, whoa.
me.
We're gonna go 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4.
You cheated.
That's
Why
not
are you
really
going for
good.
5 pieces? That means you're throwing like 10.
You're mean.
It's her candy. How's that mean?
I was stealing it. So
I was
You
gonna
said
steal
there's
that.
more for everyone.
I did not get out of school. I had school
All right, guys. Round 9.
Candy
I
back
had school
there.
on
Sorry,
Monday,
there's stuff
Tuesday,
back
and
there. There's like a bunch.
See, it's not all Anna.
Wednesday. Wait, we already did
Other
this one.
people are smart too.
That's probably Anne.
The reason people are getting it because you told them all the answers.
Yeah, why would I do that? Where's the
Something
fun
E.
in that?
Something
Watching
and
us
something
all
E.
miserable. Watching everybody get them getting candy, but not us.
This is it, guys. Second to last round.
What does
Round
that
9.
even say?
Oh shoot, I just lost it. Shoot. Sorry.
Turkey and dressing?
Turkey and dressing.
Yes. Wait, what?
Boom.
Ow!
Why did you only throw 5 pieces when you threw like 50 out of the middle?
Ow, Zane!
It's your fault for sitting next to the winner. That's obvious. That's how it
Go,
works.
wait.
All right, guys. Final round.
Yes.
Round 10. This is it. Last
Is
chance.
it hard? I know, already, wait, we already did this one.
No, we did not. Please stop saying. There are just a lot of words that look the same size. That's all there is to it.
I can just think taking.
Final round, guys. Come on.
See, that would
Get
be
those
great.
brains working.
What does that say? Etower?
Boom.
Taking late trips?
I know one's.
Ew, eating leftovers.
That is correct.
Ah, yes, finally I got one.
Well done,
Give me the
Caleb.
candy.
Big bonus.
I would say 2 handfuls.
What?
You're not
What?
fair.
Right, oh. Oh.
Daniel, you're
Oh,
so
I'm
unfair. I got
Okay.
5
Have
pieces.
it.
Hold on, give me the candy.
You're so
Here
fair.
you go.
Like,
I found
Give me
2
the other
S's.
candy.
Snickers.
Abby,
I don't know why.
One way back here. There's 2 back here.
Thank you.
I think Zane
It's
had
only
way
one.
too much fun in that game. Yeah, Caleb. Caleb. Caleb.
Thank you, Sonny.
Sorry, I forgot about the ceiling.
We got
Okay.
so much candy.
Wow, thank you.
Where's my candy?
Okay.
Did you get some? Thank you. No.
It's weighing me down.
I've been stealing it from people.
Does anyone else want candy? I don't have
All
any.
right, guys, you need your Bibles. Get some Bibles.
Bible! Drop me a Bible, please.
We are still working our way through the book
I don't
of
say please.
Philippians.
Such a holy.
Wait,
Bibble.
I don't know actually. Did anybody not get candy in all of that?
Almost
What?
everybody.
Matt like hides his candy in his pocket and
Wait,
raises
what?
his hand with the same
What?
hand
What
that's
did she
holding
say?
the candy.
What did you say?
Didn't someone throw some
I
at
gave
her?
her some.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't get
someone, like,
anything.
threw it at me.
Oh wait, did I?
I didn't get.
Didn't you win one?
Yeah, you died.
Did I?
think you won.
You like
won, like,
already ate
10.
it all?
Is it one? Or wait, no.
I don't know. I just taste chocolate. I don't know where it came from.
I didn't win anything.
All right. If anyone wants to share it today, he seemingly did not get any candy.
I don't care. No. You're gonna have to earn it. I don't. That's. You gotta earn
Your
it.
name's not Josiah. All right. We are in Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 through 18.
I know.
So crack open your Bibles and find it. Go to Philippians
Wait,
chapter
why is
2.
there like one person here?
What?
There's only like one person.
What are you saying?
He says there's like only one person.
Yeah.
Don't miss the Bible.
Let's
How do
see,
you count, Matt?
one.
That would do it. That would do it.
We all equal 0.01.
That is how Matt counts.
What?
We're gonna just allow it and know that he's wrong.
I'm not.
And allow it. Okay, so Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 through 18. Last week when we were in Philippians, we got to see the cool
We're
poem.
in Philippians chapter 18, 1. Oh wait, that's not the chapter.
Matt, what are you doing?
What?
What are you doing?
Wait, that's not the chapter. I don't know.
He does this on purpose. He just goes through each page and then pretends to miss it.
Shush.
I've seen
What?
him do it.
I'm not saying anything. See, it's 981.
You're still talking, Matt.
What?
Shush.
Last week, literally, I took it to the right page and then he closes it and be like, "That's the wrong page."
That sounds right. What's right before Philippians? Ephesians. Ephesians is a little bigger, but it's not much bigger.
Oh wait, I just lost
It's
it.
a lot of little books right there, so it's really easy to flip over. Really easy to get lost. Okay.
Okay.
Last week in Philippians chapter 2, we were looking at the really cool poem that retells the gospel, the story of Jesus, but it starts in a really cool place. It starts with him in heaven. It's something you don't get out of 3 out of 4 gospels. When you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, you pretty much just get that out of John. Matthew, Mark, and Luke don't start with Jesus in heaven, so you don't get that big of a picture. And so this little succinct, tiny version of the gospel does that, which is really cool. So we talked a lot about humility last week. Tonight we're not. We're going to kind of move on to something else. So let's get the quick little summary out of the way, and then we'll move into small groups. There's our timeline. I meant to skip it. And video.
The design
We
of this
already
letter
watched it.
doesn't develop one single
I know,
idea from
Matt.
beginning to end
know.
like many of Paul's other letters. Rather, Paul has arranged a series of short, reflective essays or vignettes, and they all revolve around the center of gravity in this letter, which is a poem in chapter 2. It artistically retells the story of the Messiah's incarnation, his life, death, resurrection, and exaltation. And then in each of these vignettes, Paul will take up key words or ideas from that poem to show how living as a Christian means seeing your own story as a lived expression of Jesus' story. Paul then turns to the Philippians and he urges them to participate in Jesus' example by taking up this same mindset. He says, your life as citizens should be consistent with the good news about the Messiah. So these Christians in Philippi, they were living in a hotbed of Roman patriotism. But their way of life was to be shaped by another king, Jesus. And that might bring persecution. But they are not to be afraid because suffering for being associated with Jesus, it's a way of living out the story of Jesus himself.
That's it.
I
That
saw
froze.
that.
No, that's literally the end of the video. We're going to pause right there because that's the only part we're covering tonight. And in fact, this is the same snippet of video we watched 2 weeks ago, not last week.
Yeah, why did we watch this again?
2 weeks ago, Matt, we were doing chapter 1, verse 27, all the way through chapter 2, verse 4, which was like the first half of what this picture represents. But we're coming back to the same exact theme we saw explored 2 weeks ago after we paused and looked at the poem about Jesus. So 2 weeks ago really heavily relates to this week, even though last week didn't necessarily, because last week was the central theme verses for the whole book. So now we're on the other side of that central theme. We're back into some of the same type material that we saw 2 weeks ago. All right, so we're going to break
Okay, goodbye.
into some small groups
Yeah.
and talk about that.
Might I suggest a boys group and a girls group?
I don't know. I think we
What?
should try and split up all 3 boys with 3 different leaders.
No.
Wait, what? That's gonna be weird.
All right.
What's
Yeah.
them?
I
Oh.
don't know. How many girls are there? How many students are there?
I don't
It's like
care.
no
There's
normal.
4 or 5?
11 students, I think. So.
You're
There's
not
no normal people here. I'm done.
You're not normal.
Girls, you
Yeah, I
could do
know.
2 groups.
I'm not normal, so everyone who's
There's
else
enough.
isn't.
You don't have to though. That's I leave it to you
Caleb's
leaders.
here. Wait, Caleb's here.
The
Oh, yeah,
leaders
he's
can
a
figure it
normal.
out.
Or wait, he's not that normal.
Wait, we're
Wait, no,
with him.
Caleb's here.
Caleb's
That's
You
it.
guys, we're all in one group. This is how it's working.
Oh.
Grab a
Ah,
chair.
Dang it. No.
Make a circle.
I ruined the pattern.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
I'll take a red one.
Good
That
talk.
was helpful.
Good talk.
He cheated.
I found this.
Who?
He did. He like.
Hey. Hated. Sorry, you're saying?
You just appeared there.
Yeah.
She's magic.
I
Yes.
saw her go
It's
behind
true,
you
Matt,
and it
you
was all
found her
like,
out. She's a teleporter.
Wait, there's a teleporter?
A terraporter. That's that guy that
You can
carries your
go
luggage
on
up to the
the
roof and then throws it off and goes,
I thought they were terrorists.
no,
So,
that's a terraporter.
so
They carry your luggage with them.
I was like telling on him. So,
Here, sir, let me get you a bag.
so he was throwing 50 pieces at other people and he only threw one at me. See? Like, look.
I threw him
Matt, you never
Oh
won.
my god!
directly.
Yeah, he
You
did.
never won.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
did
He was
look.
the last
He
person.
did
What
look.
did he get?
I got
No, Caleb was the last one.
I threw
No,
a
he was-
full handful at you.
Which
I
puzzle
just-
did Matt
and then
solve?
other people stole all of it or something.
That's not my fault.
And then threw
Matt,
it away.
That's your
Which
fault.
puzzle did you
Here.
solve?
I don't know. I saw. Ew.
You solved like
I'm
the
just kidding.
fish one.
Really?
It was early on, so. My
What?
handfuls
What
grew
did you say?
consistently larger. as
Oh,
the
I
game
said-
went
Look
on.
at the answers
okay
and
with
we'll
I
find
said
out.
Thanksgiving Day
Control got
parade.
lax.
Oh yeah.
I do not remember that.
Oh, well that's what I said.
Well done.
Caleb's here, I know.
Somewhere.
I'm.
Or he's
Probably
hiding
in the
girls' group.
bathroom.
Yeah, he's in the girls' group.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
He's good at hiding. His sister can teleport. He can hide. You know, it's a very talented family.
It's pretty hard to
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to look over him.
Okay. Who's gonna read verses 12 and 13?
I will.
Go for it, Jedi. Why don't we just go in order tonight? Caleb, grab a chair.
Grab it. And throw it.
Jeremiah, are you not staying?
I'm not
I
letting
didn't.
this kid
I
go.
didn't. I couldn't hear you.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't try and do 3 groups.
My
You
cousin's
get no you.
abusive.
Enjoy.
Just sit alone in that corner over there.
Sit by yourself and read the verses 1,000 times.
And if you can answer the questions, it's great. And if you can't,
My
that's
cousin
really sad.
is abusive.
Start transcribing the Bible.
What?
All right, Jediah's gonna read us the first section. We're just gonna go in order around the circle.
Oh, I did. I
Go
told
for
my
it, Jedi.
friends, but like because what? Oh,
Jediah's gonna read the first section.
Dear friends, you always followed my instructions when I was with you. And now that I am away, it is even more important. Work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him.
All right, so there is actually in this verse a total huge clue to one of the deep mysteries of being a Christian. But the question is, what changes a Christian into someone more like Jesus? And the answer is literally in the verses you just read. If you don't know the answer, what actually changes a Christian into someone who is more like Jesus? Then just reread that verse. You will eventually get it. You're also completely on the wrong page. Just
He
entirely.
told me the page unless he was on the wrong page.
Nope.
I showed you the page number, and you'll notice that the way the page looks is 100% different.
From yours.
That wasn't the same page.
Yeah, we're on page
Guarantee you it's the same
984. 984. One more. There you go. Boom.
Not only did I
Reread
show
12
you
and
once,
13 until you
My
know the answer.
pockets are
It's
magic.
really
That's
straightforward.
why you did
To
it.
work hard
I showed you many times.
to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear.
Those are commands. That's true, they're commands, but it's like, it doesn't tell you the how. How do you become someone who's more like Jesus? What actually gives you the desires of Jesus? The same desires that He has.
Giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him.
Being happy.
What gives you those desires? No.
For God.
Whoa!
Wait, that was myself.
You're
You
magic.
can
Sneakers.
almost spell it.
He's
Amazing.
Wait.
Do you have an E?
A true marvel.
I ate everything. I don't
They made
care about
Halloween
words.
so much more fun today. Alright guys.
Snickers.
Thank you.
You guys almost said it before we got distracted by candy.
I'll pay you.
Almost. It's the last sentence, guys. Read that last
So I
sentence,
said,
verse
for
13.
God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him.
Okay, great. So you read the verse, but can you answer the question? What changes a Christian into someone more like Jesus?
Whoa!
What?
You memorized it.
Whoa!
No, you have the paper in front of you.
Oh.
But if I had, I wouldn't be terribly impressed. I have read it to you guys 3 times by now.
Oh. Wait.
I have an I.
So, does anybody know the answer? Read 13.
God gives
Not
you the
being
desire
depressed.
for and power to do what pleases him.
So you read the verse for the third time out loud. But
I
do you
skipped
know
some
how to
words.
answer the question?
I thought you were about to
God
say the
working in you.
third.
There we go. That is the correct answer.
Oh, did you get Snickers?
One more time, so that everyone who is distracted hears it. What was
I
the
didn't.
answer?
I'm not paying attention.
Shh, Matt, listen.
God
I mean, not
working
fine.
in
What?
God's
Try harder,
working in
Matt.
you. That's all I heard.
Saying you can't try while he's telling you the answer
Make
means you're really not even trying.
I
make
didn't get
a
a drink of
singular
water.
attempt.
One more time, Caleb. One more time. Everyone else, shush.
It's God working in you.
Oh, thank you.
What was it?
He's working in you.
All right, Matt, you
I'm
got it.
working
You
in-
memorized it. Good. Good.
You just need to find R.
So it's none of those commands though. That's important. The commands are not how you're going to accomplish it. They are what you're going to accomplish. How are you going to obey those commands? By the power of God working in you. That's critical. Because that means it's not just you trying hard. That's a big difference from how most people think about it. Most people think you're just going to try real hard. You're really going to want it. You're just going to be committed. It doesn't make an ounce of difference.
Candy.
Matt went ahead and left when it was his turn to read.
I knew it.
He did that on
Fine. I gotta go get some water.
No, you don't. Get back over
Damn it.
here.
I
You
don't
get
read.
you get Matt's verses.
No, I don't read.
Yeah, that's not true. We've heard you read.
Too bad I don't read.
Oh wait,
But
wait,
we
wait.
heard you read.
Oh, here comes
There it
Matt.
Okay, Matt's
He got
back.
saved by Matt.
Matt's back.
He
Matt
gets
can
to
have his
read
verses.
16.
I just went to like McDonald's and bought myself a Happy Meal.
Are you happy?
So I'm coming back.
Wait, you
Pick
didn't
up
buy
your
a
Bible.
Happy
It's your
Meal?
turn to read, Matt.
Well, you should have bought one for me because I'm depressed.
Yeah, that is pretty rude to not buy enough to
First
share.
Thessalonians 1:1.
Hey,
Canada's-
Matt, it's your turn, man.
What do I read though?
The second chunk, chapter 2, verses 14 and 15.
14, 15.
And 16 and 17.
Shush. It's on the bottom left. of
Do
your page.
everything without complaining and arguing, so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of God, shining like what the heck?
Lights.
What is this?
Shining like bright lights.
The-
Oh
They
no,
messed
don't
up a
keep it in
word.
the tiny text. That's notes.
Innocent lives as children of God, shining like bright lights in a world full of cooked and
Nope. Try again.
crooked
Crooked.
and persevered
Nope.
people.
Perverse.
Oh, perverse people.
Okay, so good question. Crooked and perverse. What do those words mean when applied to people?
Hey Siri.
Pervert?
Perverse people would be a perverted person. No, that's right.
Pervert?
Yeah.
No,
That's
I
what it
really have
means.
a question
Okay.
or answer.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah.
So like
Like,
crooked is like when people like really not good or something. Crooked. People.
Joins
Yeah,
gang.
you could say not good. Does anybody have a more like precise
They are
description?
not
Evil.
leaning to the right way. They're not on the right way.
Okay.
They're not following God.
Well, that's a big part of it, but not even necessary to be crooked. So like you could be following God and be crooked, as weird as it sounds. It just means you aren't being,
The follower.
you're not being honest. You're not being legitimate. So like you could be faking the following God. Like, yeah, I'm a Christian, totally.
Don't even know what that
But
means.
Such a good man.
you're actually not doing that in your head.
Actually, but
You have something else going on. So crooked, in this case, talking about people, we're talking about people that are fake. And then perverse is kind of the opposite. Perverse is where they know what they want. They put forward the correct face. They are actually telling you what they feel. They are telling you what they want and how they think.
That
But
wasn't
the way they
anything I
think
said.
is broken. It is everything right and then broken. So it's
that wasn't
wrong.
anything I said.
So a pervert, understand what pervert means. It means to break what is right.
Why did you say that?
Do you understand? So like it's not
Yeah.
just slightly wrong or you're 99% right but still 1% wrong. It means you took the right way of thinking about something and then you snapped it in half.
I
So,
thought it
gosh,
meant
you
something
can-
completely
Well,
different.
most people use that word only about certain contexts. They usually only use it about things to do with sex. And that is not the only use of the word. The word goes further than
Okay,
that.
change subject.
We don't have to, but if you're uncomfortable, that's fine. The word means in all contexts that you've taken the right way of thinking and you've broken it.
Broken it.
So put it a different way. Like in regards to theft and ownership of property, you could be a thief who's like stealing to stay alive, and you're like, I need to eat, so I'm gonna steal some food from the store. But you could be a different kind of thief.
Like
That kind of thief
Like
is
the
not.
person that buys
You can be a
something and
mad
then
thief.
If you go to
sells it.
jail, you have a better life.
Doesn't even.
Yeah.
Let me
get fed every day.
try and finish the
Yeah.
example. So like
And you
someone
get a
who's
place to
stealing to stay alive, like they're trying to eat, they're still doing something wrong. There's still right ways to go and get your food, and they're choosing the wrong way. But think about the why, right? Their motivation is, I'm dying, I need food. That's not perverse. That's not perverse. Someone who's like a perverse thief would be someone who steals just to be mean to that person. Like they see a kid with food and they just go steal it. They're not even hungry. They just want that kid to suffer. Does that make sense?
So kind of like that YouTuber that goes around and steals people's food.
What?
Possibly. I've never.
McDonald's.
who does
Oh yeah,
that?
no.
Yeah, at McDonald's. He just drives
If
around
there's
to
something
McDonald's.
stupid, there's probably a YouTube video of it. That's like a rule.
There's this wait, that's really
I think we're
never
gonna not continue with that train of thought.
I know.
I
If
don't
we
know
just
why I
list
thought.
stupid YouTube videos, we'll be here for the next like 9 years.
I bet there's
They'll be
YouTube
making them
videos.
faster than we can talk about them.
I think it'll be
There's
like 10 years. 'cause
2
that's
billion
how
hours of content.
If you guys think about how many yous there are, like there's only one you, and then how many content creators there are,
I'm a content creator.
you'll start to
I have
realize
2.3
you can't
billion
watch all the things that are on YouTube.
My brother
They're
has a
being
YouTube
created
channel.
faster than you can
Mr.
watch them.
The best.
My brother has a YouTube channel.
I make
Amazing.
10-second videos.
I make
You have
2
a
minutes
Google
and 1
account.
second
That's
videos. Wait, what did you say?
If you have a Google account, you have a YouTube channel.
No.
I've
Or yeah,
done this
yes.
the whole time.
Alright guys, so we've got our definitions
It's
down.
not in my brother's.
Well, you can go to your channel. and
Rewind
just
from YouTube, guys. Get your head out of YouTube. We've covered our definitions.
I was like
Crooked
just
people,
thinking about
perverse people. Okay. They're not just doing wrong things, they're doing it
So Conehead.
for really selfish, stupid reasons. And then you've got crooked people, they're fake. Okay? So you've got your definition down. But what it says here in this verse is not just generally about them. It says that we are shining like bright lights in a world full of. So it's saying that the world is full of fakers and people who are honestly bad. They're bad and they don't care that they're bad. They like being
gang
bad. So it's saying that in this world, there's literally the two kinds of people. There's the kind of people that are bad and they want to pretend they're not.
Well, they like being bad.
And there's
so
the
they go
people
to
that are
jail.
bad and they don't care to pretend. They'll just be honest and let you know they're
'Cause
bad.
they like going to jail.
Well,
No.
not necessarily getting punished for it is what they like. It's that they don't care if you know that they're bad.
Oh.
It's not that they don't care about the punishment, it's they don't care that you know. So there's really just the two kinds of people. But what that means is, if you're following the verse, there's no good person.
So like Black Panther, when he just shoots him, even that he shot every camera but one camera.
Wait, what?
Just so he would
That has
see.
Don't
nothing to
even-
do.
I bet you just said a
Don't
random
even
Marvel character and
know
just
how
said
to
something
how to
random.
make that work.
Camera, but one. What?
The Bible's saying that there's no people in the world that are good.
Oh.
It's saying there's only two kinds of people: the people who are bad and don't want you to know, and the people who are bad and they don't care if you know.
So like the
But the two
guy
kinds
in
of people are
Black
both
Panther.
bad.
So like the guy that in Black Panther.
There's nothing
Hey, in the
Black
beginning-
Panther.
In the
Wait, in the
beginning,
movie,
they
or
just,
are you talking
Let him
about?
finish. I
comics?
want to hear the end of it. I want it to be over.
Talking
In
So,
Black Panther.
in the beginning of Black Panther, the guy shoots every camera but one so that people can see who's killing everybody.
What?
He wanted
Is this a
everyone to
comic?
see.
No,
Okay.
it's in the Black Panther movie.
That's not even in the movie.
But that has nothing
Which
to
which
do
guy are we talking about? Are we talking about the guy with the arm,
No,
What arm?
He's
the sonic arm,
Sonic
That's
claw?
Claw.
Or is this a
No,
different guy?
Oh, that's
Is it
like
the
a,
guy with like
Get
bullet
Smart.
holes in his
Have you ever
entire
watched that
body,
Get
like,
Smart?
For the people he kills, he, like,
Have you ever
he,
watched
like,
Get
stabs
Smart?
Yes.
him.
Yes.
listen,
The Claw.
he's talking about two different kinds of bad people, and you're talking
Yeah.
about Black Panther.
No, when he started talking about that, it made me feel like
Black
the
Panther.
part
But
of
TV
Black
show?
Panther.
How did you get to there?
Because
What made
Is there
you
a thought
see
trail you can lead us down that makes
Is
this
this a
make
TV
sense?
show?
like or something. When you said like there's two different people, like the people that do stuff to survive, and then the people that just do it to do it and don't really care.
Yeah.
If you know it.
So just like
Yeah.
Herman.
Yeah. So are you saying the bad guy in the movie is one of those two, or are you saying he said something like that?
No, he's like one of those two.
Which one is he?
He's the bad person, obviously. He just
Well, they were both bad. They're both bad. So which one is he? The bad
The
one
crooked
who
or the
wants you to think he's
persevere?
good, or the bad one who doesn't care if you know he's
The
bad.
bad one that doesn't care if he's bad.
Because he wants
There
to
we go.
show.
Because
Thank you.
literally, and also he
It's
goes,
starting to
wants the
track.
fame.
and he also like
You just want to talk about black.
when he's like all like, hey, you can if you leave now and don't tell anyone, you can leave. But as he's leaving, he shoots them.
Yes.
Oh!
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that
yeah.
one.
That is
Okay.
literally
Yeah,
happening
okay.
in the movie.
What do you even
Oh,
talk
like
about?
halfway
Camera.
through the movie.
We didn't even
What
My
is he talking
goodness.
about?
Definitely like at the beginning.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was incredibly
If you
cool.
don't tell anyone, you can leave. Just
Yeah, that was yeah.
That was incredibly cool. Okay, so moving past that, trying to apply it to what we're actually talking about.
Oops, I thought you were somewhere else.
It gives you a list at the beginning of what Matt read us. It
What?
says at the beginning of what Matt read us, 12 and 13, or sorry, 14 and 15. It says do this, do this, do this, do this. Okay, so it gives you the list, and then if you do those things, you'll be a shining light to both kinds of people in the world. You can be a shining light to the people who say they're good even though they're bad, and you can be a shining light to the people who are bad and they're totally honest about it.
Like
They don't
that
care.
guy.
Yeah, like a bad guy. They don't care that you know that they're bad. So my question is, what is it that's making you a light?
A light?
And maybe that's the first question is what the heck does the Bible mean when it says be a light?
A star.
Yeah, just like, could you just like go into space and like turn into a burning ball of gas, please? No.
Ah, damn.
Not what it means.
Oh, so I can't just jump on the
Nope.
side?
I could have been born in a
If
star
someone's like
or a
beating
bird
No.
or
Sorry,
a plane.
wait. Valid answer.
someone's like beating you up,
What the?
like show love to them.
What?
Okay.
Like
You don't fight
Oh yeah,
back.
like a bully,
And
but
then
you're
give
just
it
like,
back.
oh
You don't
right,
fight
and you
them
bring
back.
him like pizza tomorrow.
Dude, heck yeah.
That's delicious.
Thank you for beating me up. I will
You
bring
bring
you
them the
pizza.
most
No, wait a second. There's a legitimate side to this, and then there's a kooky side to this. Okay. You can go too far. Kooky means like silliness,
Cuckoo.
craziness,
Oh, wait.
ridiculousness.
That's
Means
So
cuckoo.
going too far makes you look
If
cuckoo.
someone is beating you
But-
up, you would run away or something.
Well,
Or
and
beat
that's
them
fine.
up
But he
back.
said the next day. Okay. So this
Oh,
is
the
this is
next
critical. You don't like say I'll give you pizza. Well, while they're wailing on you. That's not
No,
gonna do
If he
anything
beats
good.
me up and then the next day I have him pizza.
That's gonna do
They
something.
think
Brownies
it's
are
poisoned. It's
Well, and they
Delicious.
might. You can't help that. Like they
Oh,
made,
pizza.
and you know what? If it doesn't soften their heart, if it doesn't like turn them around the first time,
Pizza, yeah.
Bring them more
that's
pizza.
normal. Like they're literally gonna throw it in the trash in front of your face and be like, "Bleh," you know, just like you're gonna be
You're
so mean to
poisoning
you.
it.
so you don't
But-
like Little Caesars. It's
No,
good to know.
That's not really the point.
Let's just keep
The
it
point is
moving.
actually what you said, and that's
It's doing
you
it for
do
no good
something
reason.
nice, and there's no return that you can expect. You can't expect them to start being nice. You can't expect them to turn around, stop being a bully,
Actually,
but
I
you do
have
it
another-
anyways.
Oh, those
I
are
have another
bad
kind
boys.
of
You
thing
could
that, like-
you could die by them.
What I can think
So
of.
that's why you don't bring a
Just throw
pizza.
boxes.
It's like biting
What?
pizza.
We didn't describe the bully in
Poison.
any way. Why are they so bad they're gonna kill you?
Because they're
You're
gonna
lost.
beat you up.
We need details.
Being
Why?
beat up
They-
is not
you
gonna
just
kill you.
Whenever
handed
I-
him
I
a
think
fresh
whenever-
pizza.
Whenever someone says beat up, I think someone's like trapped in a corner and they're like has like a punching so hard and then they get a knife and just like time to go.
A knife?
Nice.
That's what we do.
What?
This is going far too far. No,
I
typically
think
when you
of
get beat up,
CPS
they just
coming
want
to
you
my
to
house
cry.
again.
They just want you to whimper and
Oh.
be a smaller person and be weak.
So then
And
you
then
don't be
they're-
weak and look.
and
You
then
might
they
yawn.
feel
You
strong.
might yawn
They
because you're
feel
so tired.
powerful. And
Oh,
it's
yeah, you
not
should yawn.
it's not
Oh,
about
this is
ending your
terrible.
life. It's about making them feel better about themselves.
What? It's
Anyways,
like you're
the point
bleeding.
was,
No.
you go back to someone who's been mean to you, whether they beat you up or they called your name or whatever it was, and you go do something nice for them after the fact, you know,
Like if I
separated from all
purposely-
that other stuff, you just do something nice, that is gonna shine out above whatever your history with them is. Like,
Like
whether
if I
this is the
shot you
first
in
time
Or
or
what
the
if it's
100th
just
time.
some random guy walking in the street and he comes up to you and punches you for no reason and then runs away?
They're
Maybe-
probably still like that.
Maybe you'll never see him again, so maybe you'll never get the chance.
But you can be like, what's your address? I'll bring you
What's your
God.
address? Hey, it's this address.
My
Maybe
kid
you just
would
bring
tell
pizza
you.
around wherever you go, and just in case you see.
Alright,
it.
okay, so real quick, just because pizza's not always the only answer, there's other answers.
Brownies,
Ice cream.
makeup, a knife in the throat.
Also, no.
No?
Don't joke there. Don't joke there.
Oh, I've done
Okay,
it.
so go back. What was the actual list though that Matt read us? Think about that, because it wasn't just give them
Oh,
presents.
I didn't even notice.
There was other things that aren't just be nice to a bully. Okay, not just presents,
It
but
says
like
do
even more
everything.
different.
Wait, okay, I messed
Yeah, no, that was it. That was one of them. What was that first one?
Do everything without complaining and arguing.
Okay, so literally one of the ways you can be a light to people, because this isn't just talking about bullies. It's not just talking about people you hate. Okay,
So
it's
like,
talking about anyone who does bad things and tries to hide it, and anyone who does bad things and doesn't try to hide it. That is literally everyone on the planet.
Isn't it bad? to
Everyone
hide
does bad
something?
things. So whether or not they try to hide it is kind of irrelevant now. We're basically considering everybody. So this is everybody.
Like
not
if
just
I
bullies.
shot him and killed him and shoved him into a.
Whoa.
We're not just talking about the
I'm
worst
scared.
possible sins you can imagine. We're talking about every kind of
And
wrong
then
thing.
never told anybody because I didn't want to suffer the consequences.
But even something less than that,
He
like
died.
he was thrown a piece of candy and you stole
yeah.
it.
I didn't do that.
But which tells me which category you're in.
Hey, you want a book?
It's everyone though. That's my point. Even us. We're
Yeah,
in
he stole a piece of candy too.
follow.
And him.
For a second,
Steal a
we're
candy.
all in that camp. We're all in that camp.
Steal
None of us
candy.
are not in one of these two groups.
I grabbed candy.
None of us are perfect. We all do wrong things.
You stole a piece of candy.
I literally didn't. I absolutely 100% did not.
I didn't either.
I thought you stole
You're
it
just
from
like,
the
Well,
store.
actually,
You're
truth
just
be told,
saying
this one
everything
year
to
I didn't.
people.
This one year, your mom bought the candy.
He stole it from his mom.
Yeah, it's mine.
Yeah,
my candy.
she offered to go shopping for us, and I asked her to save her receipts and get like reimbursed.
Once
And then
you
like
got
she
me.
didn't. So
Why?
literally, our ministry didn't even pay for the candy this time. Your mom paid for the candy.
No, he gave
There
like
was some that other
50
people
bags.
donated besides your mom, but I think your mom bought like.
Wait, so
most
that's
of it.
that
My
you
mom,
deserve that
like
candy.
all this candy was
You're getting
sitting
two
there,
handfuls
oh,
of
yeah, we're
candy
gonna have
chucked at
candy
you?
for like a year, and then like I like come back in and like only the N&M bag is left. I'm like, what happened?
No.
I was
How
like,
bad are
here
you
goes
gonna be
Daniel.
tomorrow?
That was like $100 plus worth of candy.
Oh,
It's
probably.
expensive.
Yeah, candy's really expensive.
Your
Or you
mom
should just
must
go to like
be
a
rich.
penny
I think she
store
was just
and buy-
really kind.
Maybe go
Okay.
to the dollar store.
I,
what else
I
is there?
bet-
That's
store.
smart. Dollar store. You can get like those full bags of them.
So we all do these things.
Hush.
Whether it's taking a piece of candy,
$1.25.
whether it's calling someone a bad name, whether it's talking bad behind their back, whether it's just like ghosting someone we don't want to be nice to, whatever.
him.
What the?
If you have something worth saying, you can
They call
raise
you
your hand,
Matt.
man. Quit just jumping in there with random jokes.
Or what? That doesn't make sense.
You too. Same thing. Quit jumping in there with random jokes.
No, it wasn't a joke. I don't know why I said that.
I'm telling you, if you have
That's a
something that
random
you don't even know why you're saying it, that is the exact reason to not say anything.
Okay.
Okay. What else can you do to be a light to these people? Because it's not just the worst of the worst.
Why
It's
is
not
there
just the
something-
people you didn't get called on. It's not just the bullies. It's not just the people we hate. Like, this is literally everyone. We've got one on this list I don't think we're really paying attention to. It says, do everything without complaining.
Yeah.
We complain. That's natural. It's normal. Everyone else complains too. But what the Bible's saying is if you don't, you show people a piece of what Jesus is and who Jesus is. If you live your life without complaint, you show them a slice of that perfection that you can't have all of. You're not perfect. But if you can do that, you can show them a piece of the perfection that really is who Jesus is all of. He's completely perfect. The second one on this list is to not argue. Is anyone here guilty arguing? You know what tomorrow is? Tomorrow is the national arguing holiday
Wait,
of the
why?
year.
Why?
Can I do
Because
something real
more
quick?
family members get together on Thanksgiving than
And then
any other
argue.
day of the entire year, and more
I
people
wanted cake.
argue with their family than they do with anyone else.
Like
Their family are the number one people they argue with. I have
My
a friend
mom-
who had to celebrate Thanksgiving early because like travel didn't work, so they couldn't celebrate on Thanksgiving. They already celebrated on Saturday, and he was texting me from his Thanksgiving, talking about the arguments that his family was going
Why were
through.
they arguing?
And because they're family.
But that doesn't make sense.
That makes
Hey,
It
I'm
makes
raising my
100%
hand.
perfect sense. You are, but I'm not done. This is usually why I don't get to finish a thought, is because you like to jump in the middle. Please wait till the end of the thought. So if we were able to do just these two things, live our life without complaining, live with people without arguing with them, then there would be a big enough difference between us and the people around us that it would show them a slice of who Jesus is and why he's different. Just in that tiny amount of difference that you're showing just by not complaining and not arguing. So tiny little things like that are able to show a slice of who Jesus is, which
I just
is
thought of the
huge.
best
Nope,
thing
keep
ever.
your hand up. He was first. Go for it.
Can I turn off my phone?
Please. Yes.
So you know how you're not that like good or something, then you can be good. So someone should do this. So when you're born, then you can have like brain surgery replace brains, and then the baby could be as smart as a older man or something, and then he could be super nice and talk.
As silly as it sounds, that's like the plotline of several comic book characters where they like take over the body of someone who's young, and then they get to live another lifespan, and then they do it again when they're old again. There's plenty of
No,
villains.
but it's the same.
Plenty of villains in
It's the
comics.
same baby. It's
Almost
just the
always
baby has like, wait, the baby
No,
has the
because it's
same
someone
thoughts
else's
as a-
brain. It's like, what did you do with the baby's brain? Did you throw it out, or did you stick it to
Yeah.
some old guy who's about to die?
No, it's
Like-
not an old guy who's about to die.
It's
The brain,
really
the brain is
weird.
like, the brain
That's
is
a movie.
some 25-year-old guy, super duper smart, like Albert Einstein or something. Wait, he wasn't.
Yeah, but
not
then you
25.
still stuck a baby's brain into like some 25-year-old body.
That's
Now
about
there's like some
to die in like 10
25-year-olds like
seconds.
that. It's a terrible idea.
It's a good idea. No, not the baby's brain in someone else. I said the Albert Einstein's brain in him, so he can be good
So then
and
you
be
get
the
to take
best
some
and be the
25-year-old
most
and stick
good
in some
man
old
ever.
dude's body who's about to die. I'm still not sure what the good part about this is.
No, but
Baby
it's
dies.
not about to die.
Or the
brain.
25-year-old dies.
No, the brain isn't about to die. Nothing's about to die because it's not.
Did two
So-
25-year-olds swap places? Or
What?
is one of
Wait,
them old?
why would that
No,
make?
Albert Einstein died, so they took his brain out and put it in a baby.
Right, so then what did the other guy's brain go to?
Whose
No one's
brain?
born with an
The
empty
baby.
head.
The baby. They just threw it away.
What?
That's awful.
Killing them.
Kill the
What?
baby. It's
No,
the
it's
baby.
not.
It's just
Wait,
old man in a
what?
baby body.
What?
That's what I was
No,
saying.
it's
You
not.
basically either doom them to death or you just flat out kill them.
No, but no. They have the brain of Albert Einstein, so they
No, they don't.
can. Yeah, they
No,
do.
Einstein has the body of a baby.
Yes.
Also, also,
Matthew,
okay.
Matthew, if you want to be in a kid's body,
No, I
and you
said.
remove the adult's brain, the kid's brain will no longer be in the kid's body, so he will not be smart.
I know, but
You'll be the same
the
person.
baby is
What
gonna be.
I think what you're missing here is, as far as we can tell from everything we've done, your soul is following your brain.
The baby is
So as
gonna.
soon as you take that baby's brain out, that's the
No,
baby's
it's just
life.
some magic thing that people can do in
Okay,
surgery.
so
And
are you
so-
combining their brains?
No, like
Then
so.
one of the persons is going to
No.
end.
So let me talk. So you put Albert Einstein's brain into the baby's brain, and the baby's always good, and he's the
Bas-
best person alive
Basically,
besides Jesus,
you
and he
give
can do
the
everything.
baby-
and he do it, and he
Build
never
nukes.
cries. He never cries. Or like never does anything wrong. So you can never complain or argue. That's what I was saying.
wait,
Being
what?
smart does not
That
stop
There's
has
you.
still
nothing to
two
do
people
with
at the
it.
beginning of that equation and one person at the end of that equation. So you need to come to grips with the fact
So then they
this
can know
idea
like.
doesn't work.
So
for
wait,
you.
wait,
I just
Wow.
realized
Matthew,
something. I just realized
How do
something.
you, how do you not lie?
You
Free
probably did,
yourself.
but I almost
and
don't
this
care because that was so
adult
silly.
man gets put into the kid's
Yes.
body.
I have a
he will
great
not be
idea. Okay.
perfect.
Not the
So what they
adult
do,
man, the
what
adult
they do
brain.
is they
So then
take
he's
out
like,
the
so
voice
I'm
of the
perfect.
baby, the
But, like-
voice and the hearing of a baby.
Uh-huh.
Now
That's
they
it?
can't argue.
That's the end?
Similarly,
What if someone's
an
born
adult-sized
deaf? Oh,
man's
excuse me?
brain
How you not
is
argue?
approximately the size of a baby. How do you fit that brain in the
You
baby?
don't.
I know.
You just
Take out their
Stuff
hard
it.
intestines.
You
Blend
stuff it.
It's blended.
Make the baby eat it.
Or
You
like-
make no, you make
Wait, how do
you
you
make them
finish the
hollow,
question?
the baby hollow.
I think
Ew.
we've well and truly finished it, my friend. It's dead.
Oh, boy.
How do
Well,
you
it
not
died
argue?
when we
You
swapped
freeze
its brain.
yourself.
What?
Oh yeah. What if, like if it was a dead baby, like
I just have something
How
to
about
say.
you freeze
I don't
yourself?
know.
What have you gained?
Nope.
What
You
have
know how
you
you
gained?
said to say hi
All right,
randomly?
No,
you need to
not.
open your Bible back up. It's your turn to read.
No, it's
That's what happened.
No.
Is
I already
absolutely-
read.
No,
I
you didn't.
just read.
No, Matt.
Absolutely
That was
100%
when he
no.
answered
Nope, it's your turn.
with that stupid answer.
Nope, it's your turn.
Oh, the baby.
You
answer?
You have
called,
verse 16.
you
Just
called his
baby.
opinion stupid. Apologize to the opinion.
Well, but what if it was?
Wait.
It was a stupid
Page
answer. It was like killing a baby.
I don't disagree, but we're moving on. Try and find page 984.
94.
You have one verse. Verse 16.
Go, go, go.
You wanted more?
No, I wanted
You want,
less.
you want Caleb's?
Oh,
There's no less than one
Yeah,
verse.
there's
It's
no-
the
there's
smallest
only
amount we
more.
can give you.
I want that
What
verse.
is
It's
the
like
word of
one
life?
word.
There's a two word
He
verse.
wept.
oh, it's like
That's it.
Jesus wept.
Yeah,
Jesus.
but we're not doing
John
that verse
1,
tonight. We're not even in that book
1,
tonight. All right, guys, shush. His turn to read verse 16.
I am gonna find that verse right now.
Oh, you're so close. Keep going. You're almost there. Next book.
984.
Wait, I just read
Right
it.
there. Right there.
One page.
No.
back.
Yeah.
One page
Yeah,
back.
984. You're on the right page.
Wait.
It's on the top of the 984.
No, I got.
Come on, man.
Dude,
Verse 16, chapter 2.
There's no 16.
There is, it's in the middle of the paragraph on the very top right of the page. Just go off.
There's
It's
12.
That's 11 down there.
11,
you go.
12.
It's right here.
16's right there.
16 is
Oh,
right
that's
there.
tiny. I
It
can't
is
see
very
that.
tiny. Very
Read.
tiny.
I'm
You
blind.
You
If
see
you read it
everything
last
else.
week, did you read last week? I know you can read. Just go for it.
If you can read everything else, you can read this.
This is why we're here. We like to learn about God. That's kind of the whole point.
Which Jesus wept? Is that like 22?
Hey, Matt, we're reading
cares?
verse 16. Please read along with your mouth shut and your eyeballs on the page. Go for it,
Okay.
man. Go.
Me? Oh.
Yes, you.
No.
Damn
Hurry
it.
up and read.
Just read.
Let's talk about
Hold.
how y'all are doing.
Can I just skip?
Nope,
No.
you're doing it.
I
You're
feel uncomfortable.
read as slow as you want. We don't care.
No. He's
You
gonna
just
read.
do it.
One verse.
I need to go.
One.
He
It's
doesn't
one
feel
verse.
confident in his.
That's like
Hey,
20
Caleb.
words.
He doesn't feel confident in his reading abilities.
Yeah.
So just give him time.
No,
Give him
just
space.
let him go.
Yeah.
I'll
We're
be
not.
right
We're not passing on to Caleb because I already know you can read.
Yeah. Caleb.
No, I'm good.
You can do it, man.
You gotta be nice.
No.
It says hold
Dude,
firmly.
he's
Think
in
about
school.
others.
We'll be here
Think
soon.
about others. You need to.
No, just go. Go.
No.
It says hold firmly. Go for it.
No. I don't want to do it. Just let him go.
I'm gonna see how many
He's
times I
getting
can
the-
read
he's
this
getting the two
over and
verses
over.
after
Oh yeah.
Just read the verse over and over until you
What's the reason?
That's a.
That's not a reason.
Yes, it is.
Can you explain?
No.
I'm willing to hear a reason.
Do you want to give him a reason or read?
Because you read last week.
I was gonna say
You didn't get all
sing
awkward
verse
and
over the verse. No.
weird about it last week. Like, and you did fine.
Because I'm tired.
That's not also a reason
I made
either.
it.
I read at like 12 o'clock in the
I feel like you honestly don't
That's
want to
a-
read.
I
just
re-
stayed
I
up
just
to
read
6.
four
You don't wanna
times.
share the
until I
reason.
got
I just read
sleepy.
5 times this verse 5 times.
I can stay up until 6 until I'm sleepy.
I can stay up until 4
I can stay up till
in the day.
1.
And then I have to take a nap.
We're waiting patiently, man.
Just let him go.
I should have an
There's no
idea.
amount of it's his turn that's real. It's your turn.
I can my day could be the night.
4 chunks, 4 guys.
Matt, shush.
I'll tell you later why.
Deal?
Yes.
Alright, I'll take your spot. Verse 16 says, hold firmly to the word
I
of
read
life.
fine.
Then on the day of Christ's return, I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain and that my work was not useless. So it says, question 3, what is the word of life? So back in this verse, in verse 16, it says, hold firmly to the word of life.
I know.
What is
It's by the Bible. The Bible.
word of life?
The Bible.
Yes, Matt. What is your answer?
The Bible.
The Bible. Wrong answer. Anybody else have a different
It's
answer?
the Holy
Yes.
Bible.
The Holy
the
Bible.
Holy Bible.
The Holy Bible. Not actually a
The
different
Bible
answer.
does not have holes.
So technically still wrong.
Is it the Ten Commandments?
Wait, if you get a
Jesus
Holy
is coming.
Bible, do you take a
No,
pistol and
well,
go?
I said.
No, pistols
when
don't do
Jesus
that.
came,
That you have to go
that's
and then like.
Oh,
do that.
okay, you're getting warmer. Did you guys hear what his
A
answer was?
machine gun.
When Jesus
God,
comes.
you always say you're getting warmer. This is the warmest you could possibly be. It's so annoying. What's
Did I
that?
ever say this is the warmest you could possibly
No,
be?
but Jeremiah does it too.
Oh, does he really?
Wait,
Yes,
what?
it's so
What does he do?
I don't want you
You're-
guys to.
You're absolutely the warmest you could be.
That sounds like him. I don't want you guys to think when you get it wrong that you're like way off base, like completely off track. I want you to know you're not nailing it, but you're close. Like, because sometimes you guys give an answer and it's like, no, you're not even close. That was
Like
terrible.
him.
Yeah, but it's
That's
What?
an answer.
Oh, the
this is
baby
the word,
bird.
right? Do you want me to
That
give
was
a
a good answer.
specific thing of what he said?
No,
Who?
I guess not. Okay, so you're not like completely wrong. It's just the gospel.
The
That's his
gospel.
message. What?
Well, he preached other things that
Oh
weren't the
yeah,
gospel.
the answer's
Like,
the gospel.
But he did
Gospel.
preach the gospel. So follow me though. Like
Yeah,
if I
the word
said
of life is the gospel.
the teachings of John the Baptist, technically it's true because part of what he
Oh,
preached
John
was the
the
gospel.
Baptist?
But he also preached a bunch of junk that wasn't the gospel. So like
Junk.
You
It's
call
not-
God junk.
No.
I said John the Baptist.
He said,
Wait, you called John the Baptist junk?
No,
are you guys listening?
Even worse.
They're not
Okay.
even listening.
barely
I'm
listening. I
not.
think it's
It's
more
just the
accurate.
gospel.
So it's the gospel. The word of life is the gospel. So Jesus preached some stuff that didn't have to do with the gospel. He said stuff like, be kind to your neighbor. That's
Not
not
even close.
that's not the
About
gospel. But he preached it. So that's why I said you're close.
Right.
Some of what he preached was the gospel. So what is the gospel? Spell it out for me so it's not just the word of life. It's not just
with their
the gospel.
Okay.
Hey
how do
Siri,
you spell
spell
the
gospel.
Hey
So-
Siri, spell gospel. Oh wait, I turned
Okay.
my phone off. Damn it.
Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so what
I'm trying to see if
is
it's up there. It's not.
what is it about the gospel that gives life? Because he's calling it the word of life.
You get to go ahead.
Oh, I know.
Eternal life.
Wait, what did Jesus say? Like the
What about the gospel gives life?
oh that like cause like the gospel has like wait the gospel's like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John or something or wait
Ooh,
that's
tricky.
wait
Sorry, I didn't mean to spit. Those 4 books are known as the Gospels, and that's like a different thing, stupidly, but it is a different thing. Oh, where are you sleeping tonight?
oh what the
On an air mattress.
why
Family in town? That's fun.
I get
And
to
I'm the.
Hopefully it's a good air mattress.
No,
gonna
it's
sleep in
not.
a
It's
giant
basically a
van.
brick.
I get to sleep in
How
a
do you get
giant
here?
I get to sleep in a huge school bus.
What?
Okay, that'll be fun.
No, I sleep in it every night.
Fully 100% off time.
Congratulations.
It's
With a bunch of friends, that'll be fun.
truly amazing.
Did you know that I'm gonna go plant 20 million trees?
It's a special skill you must have.
You must be Johnny Appleseed.
I'm Johnny, and my last name's
You hurry back and not do a serious
and then
joke.
my
Put your phone
or my
back in the
middle
bucket.
name's Apple. My last name
You can't put it back.
is
If you do something with it, you
Seed.
can't put it back. You're out. You're done.
Okay.
What if I do it with the phone in the bucket?
It's the gospel.
Siri.
What Jesus brought. It's eternal
Shut
life.
up.
Okay.
Yeah,
What?
it's
I'm talking to Siri.
Go to
Okay.
heaven, have
Siri, can you be
So
my
then
friend?
go back to the verse.
I
It
guess,
says-
then again, if you do
Wait, if
things-
my phone's in the bucket and I do it from here?
Not important right
Siri.
now. Not important.
Shut
it
up.
says hold firmly to Jesus' word.
I don't have
to the
AC
gospel.
right on.
To the part of it that gives you eternal life.
Just because of that.
That's what the word of life is. It's not just the gospel. It's being
And then
specific.
she's like, okay.
Be part of the same conversation the group is in. Go where the verses are leading
Then
us.
come to our conversation.
No,
Oh.
it's pretty well worthless at this point.
Jeez, you call me worthless?
No,
Not
the
even a little bit.
conversation.
Not even a little bit.
That means a lot.
No.
I think
What?
we've spent
You
about
sound like
even.
my
we've
parents.
spent about
Not
10 minutes
even.
Dude, you
talking
sound like
about
Dad.
random
Parents.
things that we
When I grow up, I want to be like.
Does that make sense? Not even a little bit. It means 0, not a
You sound
lot.
like my parents. Call
I
me
am
Is that a
worthless.
bad thing?
What, you're old? How old are you?
Huh?
Keep track. I didn't call you worthless.
Oh, what?
I did not call you
Right.
worthless.
You sound
Please
like all
don't
the kids
improve
at
it.
my school.
You must sound like a lot of people then.
Huh?
You sound like 50 people to him.
There,
Wait, you said all
He
the
didn't
kids
actually
at
give a
your
number,
school?
but
So
No, most of the kids at my school say you're worthless and you should die.
whoa, where do
I
you
wouldn't
go to
believe it.
school?
They don't really get to have an opinion about
school
that.
do you go to?
Like the,
Bidwell.
Our guy don't
It's
go.
pretty sad.
And that's why I don't tell people that I'm Christian anymore.
The world doesn't really have a good way to determine the worth of stuff, and they're really like their track record is horrible. The ability to tell whether or not something has worth is something that I don't even think I'm good at.
Hasn't the world agreed
Like,
money's worth?
It's something that God is inherently
Even though
good
it's
at.
paper.
He's able to tell whether something is worthy. And what's really cool about the gospel is that in it, part of the message is that he reveals what he thinks of you. And what he reveals is he's willing to trade his life for your life.
That's written down, so he could have done that like a million years ago, like he did. And he could have been like liking the people that he was living with.
Ooh, I see you're getting it there. Okay. Put it like this. He set the plan in motion, okay, to come and to trade his life for yours before even those people were alive. He set the plan in motion before the first person was alive. He knew what he was getting into because he created humanity and knew that humanity was going to mess up royally.
I thought the
And
first
he knew, even after they messed up, that if he didn't come down and save them, they'd all just go to hell. And so when he created the first human, he knew, if I don't do something, it's all going to end bad for every last one of them.
He's just in space.
And so this is the crazy thing. If he can look forward to the first human and see they're going to screw up, he could totally look forward and see you and see how good or bad you were going to do, how good or bad Matt was going to do, and how good and bad I was going to do. And he'd be able to tell from before the first person was made, I'm going to have to save him. He knew. And that statement, I will trade my life to save yours, is a statement of worth. He's counting your life as not worthless, the opposite of worthless. Do you know what the opposite of worthless is?
What are you doing?
worthless. I mean worthful.
I wish, but that's not actually a word.
You don't know some
Worthy.
full of worth.
Yeah, it's worthy.
Righteousness.
So worthy means has worth. It's kind of like when you say sticky. It has stick. It can stick to stuff. Does that make sense? Like it can stick to stuff because it is
Religiousness.
sticky. He's calling you worthy. You have worth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But not just any worth. Not like, because when you say something has worth, you could mean it has the worth of $1 or it has the worth of $1 million. Like it doesn't tell you
So you're saying
how
I'm
worthy.
I'm worth $1.
No, I'm saying God tells you how worthy
I'm
you
worth
are,
more.
and He's saying you're worth
Am
His
I
life.
worth something? What am I worth?
Hi.
God's life.
I'm sorry.
So that means I'm worth everything?
To Him,
My parents said priceless.
What?
No.
the priceless just means the sticker fell off.
There is a price.
Guys, I'm eating. Which one can love me more?
Just walk up to the store with something that has no price tag on it and be like, is this priceless?
And they'll
And look at you like, what
Yeah,
the heck
like-
are you talking about?
My brother used to like, me and my brother both like, we would like look under like all those like in the store, you know, all those shelves.
Why would
we
you?
find like these weird things that are like squishy balls and stuff that like we saw them on sale, and we were just like, oh, this must already be checked out. And then just like walk away with it.
What?
Because when you're a kid, you don't always get how like money works and stores work. When I was a kid, I had a different like
When I was-
lie. I believe I
when
thought
I was
when
a
people gave you change in
1-year-old,
store,
my
it was like a
brother
reward for
got-
coming and picking their thing. Like I chose to buy something at your store, and now they're rewarding me. Like thanks for coming to my store. Here's money. And so like I would ask my parents like, if you buy this for me, I'll let you keep the change. Because like in my mind that meant like you pick out the ball for me or the toy I want, and like then the store will pay you. And so like I honestly thought that would be convince them. Like I'll let you keep the change.
No, you thought it was like $50 for that ball with change.
And then like I'll give you that quarter after we buy it.
I thought the
You thought the
change
store
was
gave you money?
I was just a kid.
If you buy me this candy bar, I'll let you.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought the change was like for giving tips.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
I
thought.
thought it was like-
When you get change, you throw it
I
at
thought when
the
you wrote a
people,
check,
like, you throw
that
the
means you
candy.
didn't have to pay for stuff.
When change,
I was just like, oh, I'm not paying for this.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought checks were for. It was like, yeah, I'm not paying. Oh, okay. Just put that in the drawer. Have a nice day. I didn't get it. My parents wrote checks all the time, so I just thought like, whatever. That's
Wait,
normal.
did you think Bills were a person named Bill?
No, I never did.
I think everyone.
I never fully got
I
the
did.
whole
Like, hi, I'm
send a
Bill,
check for
but my
Bill
real
thing.
name isn't
I
Bill.
thought
I
Trump
watched
was
Okay.
good, and then I heard that he was
It was a
horrible.
bill singing.
What?
And there was a
You know,
bomb.
it's like
like,
I'm a
It's like
Bill.
still 8 minutes
Commercial
left.
like, hi, I'm Bill, but my real name's not Bill.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Yes.
That's a good estimate. Well done.
His
Okay.
name is. I'm not Bill.
It takes
My
like
name
30
is.
minutes to do one song.
It's
So.
Well, it's because of this.
Hey, shut up. Shut up.
Whoa.
Okay?
You're
Take it
at
down.
least 50% of it.
No, I'm not.
I
They're
would say-
100.
I would
and
say
he's
he's like
100.
33% of the
Bill.
problem. 33%.
Fair.
Okay, so
Oh!
that said,
25, 25, 25. Wait,
that adds up to 75. That's why I picked 33. At least that adds up to 99. That's really close.
I'm close.
Okay, so let's recap and go and move on. So he's talking about holding firm to the word of life, and he says that when Jesus Christ returns at the end of the world, then he's going to be proud of them having done good, and he'll know that his work he's done for Jesus was all like worthful. See what I did there?
Worthy to lift the
He also
hammer.
knows that his obedience to the Lord, because he said this elsewhere, is really what makes his work worth it. Like, it's not how good the people he's trying to lead to Christ turn out. It's really about how well he's following what Jesus gives him, doing what Jesus tells him to do. His obedience is the measure of how good he is. Okay,
So he gets bragging rights.
Caleb, read us 17 and 18.
But I will rejoice even if I lose my life, pouring it out like a liquid offering to God. Just like your faithful service is an offering to God. And I want all of you to share that joy. Yes, you should rejoice, and I will share your joy.
All right, so we have 3 questions. These shouldn't be hard. We're just going to do them faster. More like quick little answers. So, what makes something an offering to God? Yeah.
When you like like not like killing a lamb or something? Cause wait, that is that an offering to God?
That is one kind.
Oh well, like
There's lots of
another
kinds.
you could like
Kill your son.
you
Well,
could
it's a synonym. You're not wrong. Can you define it?
you could no wait.
Giving something for him.
Yeah, like if you wanted to like if you were like watching something and you didn't want to stop but then you wanted to stop and so you could read the Bible and so you're sacrificing an offering to God to read the Bible.
Yeah, like quitting what you wanted to do. No, Matt's right. He's totally right. Quitting what you want to do, doing what you know He wants you to do. That is a sacrifice. It's an offering.
So like if you kind of like if your parents tell you to fix a light bulb and then you never fix it.
What?
That's nothing to do with the thing. What do you?
How do you fix the light
That's
bulb?
not an offering.
But like if but then
That's an
no what I mean
unoffering.
like
That's nothing.
like and then when they ask you the next time you do it.
So in that case, that's special. It's
It's like it's not wanting to,
so in that
but
case
you
though.
do it.
In that case, you're getting close. It's obedience, right? First and foremost, they tell you to do it, you do it. Okay, so that's obedience.
And when
But
they say
there's a
to
further
stop
problem though in what you're,
Fires in the backyard.
the thing you're putting forth as your answer. There's a further problem with it because it's like you delayed the obedience, right? And technically, in the realm of obedience, where there's like a direct do this thing, delay is disobedience.
No, it's not.
It is. It's part of the
When
definition.
my parents told me to stop setting fires in the
Let me
backyard,
put
I
it to you
should
like
stop
this:
the
you're
road.
driving down the road, and the speed limit changes from 65 to 55, and then another mile down the road it changes from 55 to 45, and then another mile down the road you're fully in town and it changes from 45 to 35. Okay, so imagine you blow by that first 55-mile-an-hour sign, and like a quarter mile later,
Then you get
you
arrested.
finally go down to 55 miles an hour, and then you blow by the 45-mile-an-hour sign, and like a half mile later you go down to 45, and then you go past the 35-mile-an-hour sign, and like, you just scoot through town, like halfway, and then you finally slow down to 35 miles an hour. Did you obey?
No.
Yes,
No.
sorta.
Because you didn't obey. Because like if they were to like if
Could you get a ticket for what you
yeah
did?
you could.
No, not
Yes,
quite.
absolutely.
Wait,
3
you-
times
wait.
over at every single
Oh,
sign that
It's
can
like
stop you
tell
and
the
give you a
officer
ticket.
I was gonna slow down though.
I was planning on it.
Well, I get
If he
this
stops
town.
you after that sign and you're not going the right speed once you pass the sign, that's it. Boom. You are guilty.
Well, if
Guilty,
you're
guilty.
at the sign.
It doesn't matter if you were about to obey 5 seconds later. If they catch you not obeying after the command's been given, that's it.
One
You
time-
Well, if you
disobeyed.
at
One
the
time-
sign though, and they just like give
Immediately
you a
give you the
ticket.
ticket. They're
One
in the right,
time
you're in the
my
wrong.
dad was
It doesn't matter that that's harsh. It's still
That's
technically
mean.
it might be. It could totally be viewed as mean, depending on your perspective. But that's not the point. It is disobedience. You saw the sign, and then you didn't obey the sign.
No, but you wouldn't be able to
1.5
see the
miles
sign
an
because
hour
you're
is
at
the
the
speed
sign.
limit.
That's not true. Every sign is placed, unless there's weird exceptions. Like I actually had one instance where a tree grew out in front of the sign, and I was really mad because I could not see the sign. But that's super duper rare. There's actually laws about where you place the road signs. They cannot just place them wherever they feel like it. They have to stick it somewhere where you can see it far enough away
so that's
that
against
you can
the law.
slow down. Yes, and that's where you can actually contest it in court, and the judge will be like, "Oh, was there really a tree? Do you have a picture?"
Wait,
Yes,
why would
judge.
you-
Here's a picture. And then the judge will be like, "We'll get, we'll take away your ticket because
Wait,
we were
go to
breaking the
court
law
just for it to
in
take
not
care.
trimming our trees. We won't count it against you when you couldn't see the sign." But
So
that's
is
not
that
the
what
point.
you did? You went
The
to
point
court?
is they always put the sign somewhere where you can see it from far enough off that you can slow down and obey the sign.
You're going point.
That's part of our road safety laws.
Past the speed.
So my point is this: your parents said go do the thing with the light bulb, and then you wait a day and they have to remind you. You were disobedient.
Because then you
The
get
first
a
time.
ticket.
But they should have reminded me.
They
It's
shouldn't
not
have
their
had
job.
to.
I had to go to
Like-
school that day.
That's not their
What?
job to
I
remind
didn't
you.
care
You
about
had
this light
any
bulb.
time from after like 2:30 to like 4 in the morning.
I still don't see what the
Yeah,
light
all
bulb
the time.
has to do with
I
it.
know.
I
It's a
believe he's
sacrifice.
trying to talk about doing what you know they
Sacrificing
want you to
everything
do.
you love to
Like
just to
Matt was
replace a
talking about.
light bulb.
Matt brought up that God wants you to read your Bible and he wants to do something else, and so he gives up his time.
Okay.
Anybody
keep
else?
going.
What is an offering?
Oh wait.
It says in 17, just like your faithful service is an offering to God.
Okay.
So.
So
faithful
what would
service,
make something an offering to God?
faithful service is an offering to God.
I would say
Like,
the giving something up is a good way to look at it, but another way to look at it is when it's just for God and it's not for you. There are times where I do what God wants and I get something out of it. Right? There are times where I do the right thing, I do what he tells me to do, I do what I've read in his word, it tells me what to do, and I get something good out of it. I'm not really doing it for him in that case. A lot of the time I'm still doing it for me. There are other times where I really want to do my own thing, but I know what he wants, and so I quit doing my own thing, and I do what he wants. Then it's suddenly an offering. Suddenly it's something he wants, it's for him. And the same can be said for humans. Like if I'm going to, offer something to my wife as like a gift, it doesn't have to be an actual physical object. It could be me doing something nice for her. It could be doing like housework around the house. I could be doing anything for her. And if I'm not getting anything out of it, then it's an offering for her. If I do get something out of it,
then it's
not really an offering. It's not.
But you don't expect things.
He calls service an offering. Why is that? Because service by definition is not for you. It's for someone else.
Because when people like volunteer, you don't get money.
Oh, not that kind of service, but that too, I guess. Could be.
Community
service. Serving someone.
Oh.
Like that kind of service. So
if I was serving you.
Yeah, so go work in a soup kitchen, go teach a Sunday school class, go help out a person who's hurt, go spend time with someone who's like sick in the hospital and they can't leave and they're bored. Go babysit for free.
Thank you.
Just like the list goes on and on and on. Do something for someone else. Okay, question 2.
You still want
This verse actually says something really weird.
I say yes.
Maybe you guys caught it, maybe you didn't.
I'm getting there.
Maybe you caught it, maybe.
What?
Shh.
What?
Maybe you caught it, maybe you didn't. Service brings you joy.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How does service bring you joy?
Because you know you're doing something good for people, and you are knowing that it's good, and you just feel good doing something good.
Okay. But how?
Because you just do.
You just do.
Have a boring job that you hate, then you probably won't want to do it as well. But if you have a job that you love, God will probably reward you if you're doing good.
Okay. Anyone else? I like that ending.
Wait,
When we serve, our motivation should be God. It shouldn't be ourself or like I want to go hang out with those other people that are serving. When we serve and we're thinking about God, he tends to get our mind in a heavenly place. We tend to get a heavenly mindset where we think about the future, we think about eternity, we think about our life in heaven. And that should bring you joy. Joy comes out of hope. And so as you think about heaven more and more, as you serve people and your mind is on heavenly things, you are thinking about things that are eternal, that don't change, that no one else can mess it up.
Wait, so wouldn't the reward be going to heaven?
Yeah, but God says you're gonna get rewards in heaven for the service that you're doing. So even as you're serving, you're building up your stock in heaven of reward. And that brings you even more and more and more hope as you continue to think about heavenly things. You have greater hope and more joy from that hope. They don't have Chick-fil-A. They have a bag of popcorn.
Where did they get that?
Oh no, Matt! Don't even think about it, Matt. We're almost done, Matt. Where?
Where did they get the Chick-fil-A? Where did they get that?
The opening to that last thing that Caleb read was 17, where it says that shush. Even that. Why?
What?
You need to stop. It's disrespectful. You did it to him earlier. It's kind of yes. What? If your aim was off, then whatever. But I watched you do it. It doesn't matter. I wasn't gonna say anything, but you're doing it multiple times now. It is disrespectful. Please quit.
Wait, why would I do that to him?
Because he was the one talking when you did it.
Huh?
What did you do?
Wait, why would I?
It's unimportant who you were aiming at. I'm talking about how disrespectful it is.
Okay.
That doesn't change based on who you were aiming at. Okay? So just try not to be that disrespectful. Okay, thanks. The opening to what you read says that even if he loses his life, all that stands, all that's true. It's totally fair for her to do it.
I won. I don't even have a phone in there. I won though. You lost?
Yes, I won!
Give me that phone. You left your phone in the bucket?
Yes!
Okay, we're not done yet.
He just stuffed
said about suffering, giving up on what you want, doing what God wants, doing stuff for other people, Paul says that goes to any extreme. There is no limit to that. He says even to the extreme of you die. You yourself, you lose your life trying to help other people and doing what God wants. He says that is the full extreme, and even if you get that far, that'll bring you joy. That's literally what he's saying. Even to the extreme of losing your life, it will bring you joy. Does that seem possible?
No. Sure.
Sure, why not? Yeah, of course.
Shooting.
I don't like this.
Why would that? Well, actually, yeah, no, that's a real case.
what happened?
There are some school shootings where someone literally came in with a gun, and the whole point of the shooting was to kill Christians. And they went around killing just the Christians in their school, and they would literally ask people who they didn't know if they were a Christian or not, "Are you a Christian?"
But why would they say?
Because they hated the Christians.
But no, but why would if the Christians answered yes, and why would they answer yes, and then they're just
That'd be
shot?
truthful.
Because they'd be honest.
They would go to heaven quicker.
But they're kids.
I won.
And so,
So you got to ask the question of yourself. If someone asked you, and the consequences was they'll be mean to you, and they'll just be a bully and be dumb, would you say yes or would you lie? And if someone had a gun to your head, would you say yes or would?
well,
would
if they
you
had
lie?
to my head, I would say yes because then I would just die. But if they had to my foot, then I would get hurt. So
I really didn't think you put that amount of thought into it, but yeah, the point stands though, Matt. Like, if someone is pestering you and they're just being slightly annoying, what would your answer be? If someone's being like a stalker, what would your answer be? If someone's
Shoot them and
if it's the middle of a school
Come on,
shooting and
babe.
they have a gun and they're pointing it at you, what would your answer be?
I would be like, yes, take me out.
These are all valid questions
I could
because
go to heaven quicker.
I would say yes. If it's
Paul's
my head.
situation was essentially that. He was dying. He wasn't dead. No one had a gun pointed at him. But he was sick and he was in prison. And he wasn't getting out anytime soon that anyone could tell. Like, there was no reason that he'd be leaving soon. He'd been in there for over a year at this point. And he got thrown in there for being a Christian. That's why he was in prison. His imprisonment was like the beginning, right as Christianity was about to become illegal. It wasn't actually illegal yet, but it was about to be illegal. So, do you think you could find joy in that moment?
No.
In the shooting, isn't it?
Yeah, in that moment where your life is on the line.
No, like if they pointed the gun to your head, then you just start singing a song, like a good God song.
But look at how you're saying it. Think about how you just said that. That's the joy. Does that sound very joyful?
Yes.
The
Okay,
joy.
Make them feel bad shooting
You could feel good if they had a gun to your head because, and then they're gonna shoot you because you just feel joy because you know you go to heaven.
I would challenge you to think of it like this. When it's the worst situation possible, and they do have a gun pointed at you, and it's like your life or a lie, you have to be honest and say you're Christian and die, or tell a lie and live. Don't just answer yes or no. Like, that's the golden moment. You have that person whose life is totally wrecked. I mean, they don't have a good life after this. It's kind of guaranteed. Like, they're either going to die soon or they're going to go to prison soon. Like, these are their two big options, okay? Like,
I would
you
be
have
like,
this
hey,
golden
why
moment.
Why you wanted to school?
You get to share the gospel with them.
Shoot up the Christians.
You have a golden moment to share the gospel with them. And, like, you have their full attention.
Then you could be
Their
like,
attention is locked on you.
But then if they start saying like,
Yeah, just
God
start-
is good, and then shoot
Start
you,
distracting
and
them, and then kids will
But
come up
realize
and
what you've
say,
done. You've just planted a memory in their head they will never forget. When they were about to take a Christian's life, that Christian took their last dying moment to share the gospel. And they will never forget that for the rest of their life. That is so much more powerful
do that,
than a
and
yes.
then the kids just.
Yes is cool. I like yes, it's honest. But it's so much more powerful that you tried to save them rather than save you. You couldn't be more selfless in that moment. And that is going to stick with them forever. All right, we got to close and go.
Okay,
It's the holidays. Got to get home.
Why?
Let's pray.
Merry
I
Christmas.
got Thanksgiving tonight.
Happy Easter to all.
Hey, Matt, stop. Lord, we're trying to learn from you and from your servant Paul as he was writing this book. And some of it's sinking in and some of it's going right past us. And we just ask, Lord, that you would help to start changing us. That we would go through, like we talked about in those opening verses, just you working on us. Not us trying harder, not us being better, but you starting to transform our heart. Help us, Lord, to be that light in our schools, in our families, whatever the situation that's coming up Next, Lord, be there for us, because we've got people around us that like to argue. We've got people around us that like to complain. We've got people around us that like to put us down. In all these different life situations, Lord, you say we can be a light to them. As they're chipping away at us, we can be building them up. We can be working on them and bringing them closer to you. And so help us, Lord, as the world tries to make us feel worse. Lord, may we just let it go right past us as we have that eternal hope of heaven and that eternal joy that doesn't fade. It doesn't crumble away. Help us to be a light that's changing them, and not them to be a darkness that's changing us. We ask for your help, Lord. Be with us this week as we do the family and the holiday thing, and then be with us next week as we head back to school. Just help us, Lord, to be that light. We ask for your help, Lord, in your name. Amen.
Bye.
I love you guys. I
went to school
am
today.
going to quickly soon disappear and not be back for a while.
Wait, why?
Because Emily's going to have a baby and I'd like to help.
Oh, well, you can just be like,
But I'll be back if all things go according to plan for the New Year's party, so be there.
Wait.
It'll be awesome.
Oh, wait, what kind of party is it?
A New Year's party with
Wait, is
pizza
it like
games.
So there's no like
What about the party is mysterious to you? Pizza and games
Because
and hang
whenever
out
someone
and
says
celebrate midnight.
whenever is there gonna be drunk people there?
No. Why would we have drunk people at a middle
in the
school church party,
I don't
Matt?
know.
What if
Just 'cause, like, every
middle
party-
school church party to you says drunk people?
I don't know.
There will be no alcohol of any kind, Matt.
Oh, okay.
And no drunk people either.
Okay.
We'll keep them out at the door. They'll have to wait until the party is over. Not a question I ever thought I'd be fielding.
That applies
You don't
to
have to put all the
almost
chairs
any
back if you don't want to. Jared's gonna have to stack them up over there anyways.
Oh.
Thank you though.
But I've already begun.
Oh, you know what? You're kind of right. Never mind. Scratch that, because I think there's no school
Oh yeah,
until
there's that
Sunday,
too.
and we'll use them on Sunday, like we always do in rows.